It is Monday, April 5th here in Draft Shark Studios in Rochester, New York. Welcome to the Quick Hit Pod number 21 in our Dynasty Prospect Scouting Report series. I'm your host, Matt Schauf. With me, as always, is Jared Smola. You can now find 26 Dynasty Rookie Scouting Reports on DraftSharks.com, including today's man, Brevin Jordan. Every single one is free to read, and they will keep coming right up until the NFL Draft. You can check out every one of these accompanying podcasts by subscribing to the Draft Sharks YouTube channel or any of our podcast feeds. Our focus, as I said today, is on Miami tight end Brevin Jordan. Jared, give me some background on him.
Yeah, so Jordan was the number one tight end recruit in the 2018 recruiting class, according to ESPN. Came to Miami and made an immediate impact as a freshman. 32 catches, 287 yards, 4 touchdowns. Those marks ranked second on the team in catches. He was third in receiving yards, second in receiving touchdowns. 2019, as a sophomore, he missed 3 games with a foot injury, but did set new career highs with 35 catches, 495 receiving yards, averaged 14.1 yards per catch. He again finished top 3 on the team in both catches and receiving yards. This past season, he had some more injury issues. He missed 3 games with a shoulder injury, but again, set new career highs across the board with 38 catches, 576 yards, 7 touchdowns, actually tied for the team lead with those 7 receiving scores, ranked second in both catches and receiving yards. He was named second team All-ACC. He was a Mackey Award semifinalist given to the nation's top tight end. Kyle Pitts ended up winning that award. I think it's a pretty strong production profile. I actually compared Brevin Jordan to Pat Freiermuth, the Friar, across the board as far as freshman, sophomore, and junior year market share numbers. They match up pretty evenly besides touchdowns, where Freiermuth beats Jordan pretty easily. But as far as market share of catches and receiving yards, Jordan's right there with Freiermuth.
Yeah, pretty impressive production throughout. I mean, starting from a monster final season in high school and then started 11 to 12 games as a true freshman at Miami, voted second team All-ACC that year by the coaches, first team All-Conference as a sophomore. He was a Mackey Award finalist that year. Hunter Long was the only other tight end inside the top 25 in receptions in the ACC. So I think that helped him a little bit in terms of being an all-star within the conference, but the national award stuff obviously speaks to how well Brevin Jordan played and how he impressed at the national level. Let's switch over to film and see what we think about his ability, what he put on the tape during his career. Jared, what did you see when you watched Brevin Jordan?
Yeah, Kevin, who wrote up Jordan's scouting report for the site, compared Jordan to Charles Clay. And I love that comparison. They're basically the same exact size. Both guys 6'3". Charles Clay was 245 heading into the NFL. Brevin Jordan 247. And like Charles Clay was, Jordan, closer to a wide receiver than a tight end. I mean, he played 57% of his snaps in the slots. He was more of a slot receiver than a tight end at Miami. He runs routes like a wide receiver. The problem is he also blocks like a wide receiver. Like he needs a ton of work there. I'm not sure he's ever going to get there just because he is, undersized for a tight end. But again, in the passing game, as a pass catcher, runs impressive routes, creates plenty of separation. He's good after the catch, 9.3 yards after the catch average last year. That was 6th best among all tight ends. He can break tackles. The one spot he's not good as a receiver is in contested situations, just 11 of 33 on contested chances for his career. And again, that speaks to the fact that he's undersized for a tight end.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, well, let's start with that contested catch rate because that was the last thing you brought up. You combine that with a below average drop rate. I think in addition to size, there's also questions about his hands there, which makes me a little wary of somebody who's a receiver so much more than a blocker at tight end. I mean, if receiving is your thing, then you're going to have to be a lot better than everybody else at that thing. Speed is definitely the top thing for Brevin Jordan. As you mentioned, he looks good after the catch. 4.64 second 40 time would puts him inside the top 15% among tight ends. So obviously good speed for the position and faster than a lot of other guys at tight end that match his kind of size, athleticism profile. If you look back historically, again, I'm concerned that he at least doesn't look like he's ready as a blocker. I don't really know what the ultimate aptitude is on that front. So I think that will hurt his chances of getting on the field early. And especially when you combine that with some questions to his receiving game, I just wonder how long it's going to take Brevin Jordan to find a role for his NFL team. So let's move that now into the fantasy outlook portion. And what do you see for Brevin Jordan at the NFL level?
He is super young. He's not going to turn 21 until during this coming NFL season. So, there is some room for growth as a blocker, probably some room for him to just put on some weight and, get stronger, which will help. These types of guys are always tough because, we don't score points for blocking. We don't mind at all if our tight ends are out there running routes every time they're on the field. But it's just a question of, one, will his NFL team ask him to block? Ideally not. I mean, ideally he, just is playing that move tight end position and just, out there running routes, maybe part of a tandem where you have, someone like I don't know, Kyle Rudolph, who's a better blocker, and, Jordan can just be out there to do stuff in the passing game. But if his team expects him to be a complete tight end, I think he might disappoint. And that's when, a guy starts getting pulled off the field and, that can't score fantasy points if you're not on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I really only care about blocking in terms of it helping to get that player on the field. If you're Evan Engram and a team's drafting you in round 1, I don't care if you ever block anybody. And clearly the Giants didn't care about Evan Engram's blocking. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a smaller guy, not as fast as Evan Engram, even though he is speedy. So when I look back for comps for Jordan's size and athleticism, I also like the Charles Clay profile. I also came up with players such as Owen Daniels, Bo Scaife, Gerald Everett is a very close comp in terms of size and speed. I think that really all those names kind of set the level of expectation here. I don't think that the ceiling is that high on Brevin Jordan. I'm not saying that I don't like him as a prospect. I just don't know for fantasy. I don't think there's enough upside to him to make him anything exciting for dynasty rookie drafts. I also thought of Hunter Bryant when I was starting to work on Brevin Jordan from last year's tight end class. Hunter Bryant's an inch shorter, not quite as fast as Jordan. Pro Football Focus had him as their top-rated tight end in that class. He ended up going undrafted. I think that kind of speaks to the wide variations in how NFL teams are going to evaluate this position. Different teams are going to be looking for different types. They might see different things that they can pull out. So I think that tight end, even probably more so than a lot of other positions, we could see him go in round 3. We could see him go in round 5. It's going to be interesting to see what the NFL thinks about the upside to Brevin Jordan.
Yeah, round 3 or 4 is the projection I've seen. That's just a projection. I wouldn't be shocked if he drops into the 5th or 6th round. Again, undersized, not a good blocker, has some injury issues. I mean, I think scheme is going to be important for Jordan for sure. I know someone at PFF pointed out, the Kyle Shanahan, Kubiak, Gary Kubiak, or I guess Clint Kubiak now, that type of scheme would be good for someone like Brevin Jordan. We'll see where he lands. I like Pat Freiermuth as a prospect coming in better. I just think he has the higher floor, really, just because he's more of an all-around tight end. I think he's going to find it easier to get down the field.
Yeah, and if we're looking back to last year, too, for others, I like Harrison Bryant better as a receiving first tight end. I like Adam Troutman better for being more of kind of a total package at tight end, making it easier for him to get on the field. I think that Jordan's going to need a strong landing spot to get inside the first 3 rounds in rookie draft consideration for me. I have a tough time imagining him climbing any higher than round 3, even in like an FFPC tight end premium rookie draft. I think more likely going to be like a round 4 prospect for me for rookie drafting.
Yep, that sounds about right to me. I don't expect him to be a difference maker, but I mean, we know the bar is low at tight end. He could definitely give you some, lower end tight end 1 seasons.
Yeah, probably have to be patient for it to get to that level, though.
Yep.
Head over to DraftSharks.com now. Read Kevin's full scouting report on Brevin Jordan with plenty of video clips to show you the kind of things we're talking about. While you're there, check out the 25 other prospect scouting reports that we've already posted. Check back for more right up until the NFL draft. As I've mentioned, all those scouting reports are free to read. You should lock in your DS Insider access, though, so you can see where these guys land in our dynasty rankings. You can see the rookie rankings when they come out. You can access our 2021 redraft rankings and the dynamic MVP draft board. Those have been live for a month now, I think. I'm losing track of how long they've been out there because it's much earlier than any other year. You can also find us on Twitter. We are at Draft Sharks. Jared is at SmolaDS. I am at SchaufDS. It's SCHAUF. For Jared Smol and the rest of the Draft Sharks crew, I'm Matt Schauf saying thanks so much for swimming with us.